We are live. We are live in the Inner Healing and Transformation Summit. This is the final video that we'll be doing in this powerful and profound summit that we have been experiencing in the past 9 days with healers, coaches, and teachers all across Africa who are all women and who are all teaching us a different alternative way of healing ourselves and transforming our lives. And today we are talking about a powerful topic, really, that I really think that actually is the end result of healing that self to self-love. And Mother K is our guest and speaker for this powerful topic. Hi, Mother K.
Hi, Joy. Hey. I like it because it's so joyous like you. Hi, Joy. Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the Inner Healing Transformation Summit. How are you
Hello.
feeling?
How am I feeling? Do you want the knee-jerk answer or the honest? Because I like doing
Oh,
that. The time people ask you and you are just like telling them, they're like, oh, we thought you were just going to say fine.
mm,
Okay. Obadle.
the real one. I actually always say, "How's your heart today?"
Okay. I
Mm,
am very calm today and grateful for an opportunity to be to just be today
mm,
after a very hectic week. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I love that. Amazing. Let's
Um,
jump in. Let's jump into to first begin with your own journey to self-love and your own journey with everything mindfulness and everything healing.
okay. I'll try to consider in time to make it short, but not skipping anything major.
Mm,
Um, Uh, I went through self healing and I was using self love through that. So I was a very melancholic child, like always a bit sad, without anything in particular. And I always loved people and felt misunderstood. And as I grew older, I was your ideal child, good child. So my mother never had any problems with me, my teacher, nor my community, you know. So I was always striving to please everybody, and especially authority, that is my parents and all that. And eventually, so it became just my habit. Like I never really thought about myself. I always thought about other people until in my early 20s, the sadness became really dark. I was sad most of the time, borderlining on depression. This was during the varsity years because I was feeling like I was doing something that I didn't really want to do, and that an inner child within me was screaming for attention, like, oh, you're drowning me. So I didn't really know what to do. But then I gave myself a chance after graduating, like, okay, fine. So who are you? Started asking myself such questions, and I didn't really know who I was. Deeply. I knew who I was on a superficial level, you know. Then fast forward 2013, I was now a commercial manager, a part of an executive team in one of the publishing companies in Botswana, doing really great in my doggies, doing really great in my career. But at the end of my contract, I was offered another contract. But around that time, I was feeling that my soul was withering away. Um, and I decided that I'm cutting on the 9 to 5. I really have to find out who I am. I've been on that journey, but I felt like I wasn't going deep enough. And the only way I knew how to, because, my immediate family was very, very important to me. And I didn't want to really hurt them. But at this time, I chose myself before them. I decided to leave the country. And that hurt my mom really badly. She thought maybe something was going on, or my mental state was altered or something. Who leaves a good job? It was a job where I could take them on holidays and stuff like that. So my husband was very supportive because he knew if I wasn't happy, he he wasn't going to be happy. And I told him, plainly, like, I really need to do this for our own sanity, yours and mine. And I quit my job. I only told him after I quitted my job. So I went to South Africa and did my personal program on self-love, started asking myself really deep questions about what I stand for, who I am, went through self-forgiving, started doing little things that I liked. I'm such a creative person. I like making DIY projects, crafts. I started teaching people the art of meditating because I used it during my career to keep me balanced. Because as you know, the media is a hectic space to be in, uh, weekly deadlines and all that. So I started going through that, and I then got into mindfulness, which was also a really great help. So with that, I looked around on supportive systems, people who would understand why I was doing what I was doing, and found myself a teacher. Her name is Lucy, and Lucy walked with me. And it wasn't really an easy thing, Jenny, very, very painful because I had to face certain things about myself that I didn't want to face. I had to really bring everything on the table for me to be able to forgive myself, because I believe if you say you're sorry, you have to know what you're sorry for. It's not just a word, and you have to feel it. And whoever you're sorry, in this case, which was myself, have to really feel the sincerity of it. So, in the nutshell, I found that as I got to love myself, accept myself, I healed and accepted other people better. I was more compassionate. I wasn't doing things because I was thinking about the next person more than myself, but I was doing what was aligned with myself. And if I couldn't do something for somebody, I didn't beat myself up for that. So, in the nutshell, that is my journey, unless maybe you want to focus on a particular part of it.
No, it's so powerful. And I think it's a journey that a lot of women might, connect with, resonate. I see part of my journey in your journey as well. Of just discovering that you give to others, but never to yourself. And I think it's very pronounced with, highly sensitive individuals, empaths. We just, we want to give. And so even people who do healing and coaching and teaching, we have a tendency of giving all this love to other people and then forgetting to give it to ourselves. So I think that it's a powerful journey that you are on and you've been on and you went through. And now that you're teaching other people as well to also go back to love, self-love, to self, is so it's so powerful. So I want us to take that the part of mindfulness, how you use mindfulness for healing yourself and forgiving yourself, and also teaching other people to do the same with mindfulness. Let's break
Okay.
that down.
Okay. Before I get into mindfulness, what I would like to add on what I was saying about my personal healing. One thing about healing that I found out in my own journey is that it doesn't end, because we are forever evolving as human beings. The person that I was, in essence, is the same, but in terms of how I relate with different things, different environments change. So in terms of healing, it's a continuous thing. And if you've gone through it, it becomes now easier. You know now when you have to stop and really be compassionate to yourself and hold yourself and heal yourself, or ask other healers to walk that journey with you. Um, Emma. So getting to your question about mindfulness, in essence, really in the most basic, simple form, mindfulness is really being aware in an alert state with compassion, aware of your emotions, your environment, and your body. So it is really about an awareness and being in the present moment. And how do I connect that with healing? As people, as human beings, we tend to focus either on our past or our future, or we bounce between the two. And the past usually causes depression, and the future will give you a lot of anxiety. So within my journey and what I find out with other people that I'm working with or have worked with, they don't necessarily have a major issue at the present moment, but they are carrying energies of the past. And an energy, whether you are aware of it or not, have an influence in your body, on your emotional state, and in your spiritual state. And if you are not particularly in the present moment, you at times you don't even know why you're feeling what you're feeling, or why you're going through what you're going through, or why a constant alignment keeps coming back. So I find that being in the present moment is very, very powerful and healing, and which is something that mindfulness is really all about, especially as an anchor. The other thing that mindfulness uses as an anchor or a tool is something that every single one of us has, regardless of color, age, gender. That is your breath. You take it wherever you are. Once you're alive, you're breathing. And that is the tool that you should be using. And if we go, people tend to think, okay, fine, believe more in science than what they call, we are, what's the word they like? Yeah, woo, whatever,
Yeah.
there's no scientific proof. But the interesting thing now, science is getting back to these things to try to research, and more research are coming in different form of healing. And you're thinking like, do you really have to wait for science for that? So, but still holding the thought, when we get to science and the breath, every cell in your body, the organs, the atoms need your breath. So hence, the breath is a great tool for healing. A typical example, when you're really hyperventilating and you're so angry, you're at the brink of just choking somebody. If you just take a deep sigh, like, now you have that pause to decide, what am I going to do? It helps a little bit. So those are the two major things about mindfulness that I found to contribute. There's actually three to be contributing to healing. This is the power of the present moment, the breath, and compassion. And if you look at compassion, it's in different languages. It's even hidden in religion. In our language, Setswana, we say, so how do I connect these two? We have to appreciate and we have to be compassionate. I don't want to use the compassion while I'm trying to explain compassion. We have to put ourselves in other people's position. Not that we agree with it or we don't agree with it, but just appreciate where they are at so that we deal with them from a conscious level of understanding. So even for myself, the reason that I was very harsh to myself during the healing was the fact that I would call myself stupid. You've been stupid. How could you been allowing people to take advantage of you, of your kindness? How could you be living for people? No, it's not about right or wrong. It's about understanding where I was at that point in time.
Mm.
So if I've answered or partly because it's something that I'm very passionate about and I can talk for days about it.
We're gonna talk some more about it definitely, and we're gonna take it one by one. So the compassion, as I understand it, is the saying, "Do unto others as you would want to be done to you." It's in the Bible, right? Yes, I think it's in the Bible. Yeah, so I definitely love that. As you speak about, the difficulty of healing, it reminds me of the work that I do, and part of the work that I do is what I call shadow work. And shadow work is going to the dark parts of ourselves, to the spaces where we have abandoned ourselves, where we have, run away from ourselves, rejected ourselves, in the way that we are sometimes really quite cruel to ourselves, in the way that we speak to ourselves, and the way that we feel about ourselves, the way we highly criticize ourselves, So I do a lot of shadow work. I think that you can't arrive to healing without first realizing your own shadows and this part of yourself that you use to try to. It's a defense mechanism when you are afraid to experience something, and so you tell yourself, "Oh, you're stupid," so that you don't try, and it's painful. So I'm always so amazed when I do this part for a whole month with my clients, and they are like, "So we're gonna spend all this time just looking at all these bad things about ourselves," and I'm like, it's not looking at the bad things about yourself. It is looking with compassion at the many ways that you've been protecting yourselves, but in the ways that have not actually been empowering to you. And I think like a lot of people need to understand that even if you do say, you're stupid and all those things, it's really because you're trying to protect yourself. The origin of the thought was it's love and kindness to yourself. You're just using something that doesn't actually empower you, that is not compassionate to yourself. So I love the topic of compassion, because I really focus so much on it, because I had to do that shift also for myself when healing felt like, oh, it's requiring me to do such deep dark work. I don't want to do it. But when you bring in compassion, and you bring in the moment of now, and you bring in breath, it makes the journey easy. It makes it important and valid and powerful to you. And it's highly changing. So I love that. I love these three elements of mindfulness and what they are and how you can understand and use them to heal yourself. So let's maybe take them one by one on how we can say, let's start with the breath, how we can use the breath to actually anchor ourselves and to tune in and to be here, in the moment.
Okay. With the breath, these things are intertwined. As we get into it. So what the breath does is, if you focus on it, it forces you somehow to be here and now. So when you're breathing and you're observing that, it brings you here. That's why I was using the example of a sigh. You can do with your thoughts 1,000 miles away. We can do other things with that. So what the breath does, it anchors you, it grounds you, and I think it is there even in our African culture. I will talk, as I'm talking, I'll bring our African culture into the conversation, because I'm that Pan-African sister, and I used to struggle, I used to struggle thinking, but this is in Eastern philosophy, the origins of it. And then I realized, no, when you look at it, actually, we have that in our own culture. How brilliant! It's only that it's documented differently, and different words are used. And as healers, and when you bring us together, you find out that there are, you know, uh, basic principles that different healers use, regardless of the method that they are using. And this also brings us back to connection as human being in our cosmic. We are all one at the end of the day. I derailed there, but I thought it was very important to bring this forward. So yeah, the breath help with the anchoring, and the breath also help with even the physical healing. Um, when you are feeling tired, there are certain meditations that I do when I'm tired, and it brings back the energy. When the meditation maybe just a 5 minute timeout, and then the energy is brought up back into my body. And the breath, again, the focus on the breath also gives your mind a break, because the mind's job is to think. There's absolutely no way that the mind can go blank. It's an organ, and that's what it does. And even the monk who spent years on the top of a mountain there are thoughts going on. And apparently, we have about 64,000 thoughts in a day on average. Some we are able to remember and some not. So when you are breathing, you are learning not to get attached when you focus on your breath, not to get attached to the thoughts. They are just thoughts passing through, doing what the mind is just doing. It's the same analogy that I can use to try to make this thing easier for understanding for some people. It's like the sky and the clouds. The sky is always there, but the clouds, when you watch them, they move slowly and all that. So those are your thoughts, and this is the mind standard. Yeah. So that's what the breath does at times when you focus on it. Just give that mind a little bit of break, a pause. And with that pause, clarity comes.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
For me, I am at a point where I'm not even able to do work that is coming from spirit, from my true self, if I don't do this practice, if I don't connect with my breath, if I don't center and anchor myself from that space. And I know, and this happens with me a lot, I have a tendency of, when a lot of things are happening and it's easy, to want to leave the practice and then be in the moment. But I've learned that, in fact, you have to connect from there to actually do this work in a way that is less chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
So I love thinking of it as it's instant. You could literally do it 5 minutes, and you're connected and you're deeply within yourself, and you can do work in the world, um, not from depression and not from anxiety, not from sadness and um, overthinking,
Excitement.
So I love this practice, and thinking of breath as we have this very natural thing that we do, but we're not aware of it, and we're not aware of how we can use it to heal ourselves, to be in the moment. And
Mm.
yeah, so it's powerful work, and it's something that we can underestimate. But like you say, it's
Yes.
always been there.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think out of the simplicity that people think, like, really, something that easy, you're crazy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I think that people want healing to be complicated. As you were speaking earlier on how science is catching up with the Woo and spirituality, I then remembered someone or some quote I read said that spirituality is science with magic. But even this magic is not the magic that we're thinking of from the movies, but just like a natural magic, which is like the natural order of our cosmic experience. We're actually in a magical Potter, when you think about life, it's quite magical. You can't deny that it's
Mm-hmm.
strange that me and you are speaking and you're in your
Yeah.
house, I'm here, and it's
Yeah.
normal. I mean, there's nothing normal about it. Even that
You know,
we're
in
breathing.
the moment. Wow. You see, you just brought us right here in this moment, and it was just so beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
In.
So let's talk about, being in the present moment is, it sometimes feel like it's the most difficult thing. It's easy to stay in the past, to think about the past, to think about all the things that went wrong in the past. Because funny enough, most of the time, if we are thinking about the past, it's never about the really great things from the past. The ones we
Mm.
tend to obsess with are the ones that were hurtful and painful, right? Even if
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the future, instead of thinking of an easy flow future that awaits you, you're thinking of everything that will go wrong in that future. And I mean, I think there's something, if we could break down why we have that tendency as human beings to exist in time in that way, in the past and the future, and why the present moment is so difficult for us, and how we can learn to anchor ourselves in this moment of now.
Mm. Um, I like sharing something that people would say, I've never thought of it that way. That the present moment, everything happens in the present moment. Your
Mm,
past is the present moment. Your future is going to happen as the present moment. The present moment is all we have.
mm,
So why not experiencing all we have? I will start with that. And then the other thing that I usually get when you talk present moment is people think when you say people, you should be in the present moment that, you don't care about your future, you're not planning. So that means you just want to be lazy and go, no, 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 no. That is not what we are saying. And from your smile, I think you've had a lot of this. Yeah. Uh,
yeah.
so it's not that, but we are just saying, with the present moment, there is better clarity,
Mm,
um, stress, and why I think that there is difficulty in us as human beings being in the present moment is lack of understanding of what the present moment is.
mm,
Like I was saying, we associate that with just being lazy and just chilling, and we've been socialized to think, to focus on our future. And if you've done something wrong and that you're not happy about, you should show remorse, and then we tend to stay so long in the space. And being in the present moment, you can actually, we are not saying you're not going to think about tomorrow. No, you are thinking about tomorrow, but you are here now, observing yourself, thinking about tomorrow, and not get caught up now in making plans of things that you don't even have guarantee over. Get
mm,
anxious for it. Like, oh my God, I wonder what Joe is going to ask me tomorrow. I'm wondering about how this interview is going to, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm going to wear. And then my breath now is not natural, and I'm sleeping very stressed, and I wake up feeling so tired, and I'm tired and I'm miserable. And
mm,
then my day, messed up. And then in the past, we think that, the past things happen for a reason. Some is just to get um, messages. This has happened. It is it is. What have I learned from it? How can I use that in the now to make my future better? Because your future happens as today. As
mm,
we are sitting here, we are actually building towards our future. So my whole thing is the reason we are either spending too much on the past and in the future is because we don't understand the present moment.
mm. Yeah.
In
I think it's also because we don't understand. or we've never really had a conversation of what the purpose and meaning of life is, such that we are often thinking, if we think about the future, we're thinking about all these things that we need to do to become successful, all these things we need to become happy, all these things. And it's always projected outside yourself. They are always so external about other people, what other people are going to think, how will it look to someone else when they're looking at your life, at this future life that you're thinking of. And even when we think about the past, we're always thinking about how someone has hurt you, how this event happened to you. It's always so external, always so outside ourselves. And I think like that's what gets us depressed and anxious, because we're we are focusing on things that are outside ourselves that we can't actually control. You can't control how someone will perceive you or how your life would look like. And so it means that we often abandon ourselves in the equation of my past and my future. And you're so much centered in, but what does joy think about this? What does joy feel about this? Does this nourish joy? I mean, besides the other person? And that's what I've been finding to be a problem that we have. We project our lives and bring meaning to our lives according to the external world, according to people outside. So in a way, that's why self-love becomes difficult for us to be tuned into our love for self.
Absolutely. And taking another issue of the present moment, connecting it to love, connecting it to mindfulness. Is it? I said mindfulness is really the observation, the awareness of where I am, both emotionally, physically, and my environment. So when I'm here now, am I really hurting from disappointing myself 10 years ago? Or is the story that I'm telling myself about that the one that is hurting me? And then looking at those two and trying to separate them, then I get even more confused. And then I start what you're talking about, the negative self-talk, like, oh, you're always giving an excuse for yourself and all that. So when I'm present now, I can be able to observe where my mind is it in the past, and where I am in the present. And after I discover where I am present and realizing that I'm actually a clean slate, I then can get strength from that fact that at this present moment, I have a clean slate. So what would I like to do differently? So that's how I'm connecting, and that is really what mindfulness is. Because people will say, some confuse the whole thing with sainthood. Like, I thought you're a mindfulness coach, and here you are reprimanding somebody, say, oh yes, at this point in time, as much as I have compassion, this is what I am consciously choosing to do, and this I'm doing considering myself, where I'm at, how I'm feeling. Yes, the next day I can then let that pass, because I also am choosing, like, I don't want to put energy into this. Smile and say, let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so strange to me how people think living a mindful life, doing meditation every day, being a healer and a teacher means that you're not human and you don't have emotions, you do not get hurt, frustrated, annoyed, and that you don't even have a personality, which is how you do your own things. And so I've gotten people saying, do you ever like not do your woohoo things all the time? I think I'm always namaste girl. And it's always so funny. And I'm like, guys, I'm so funny. And I'm funny not always in a spiritual way, human like that. But yeah, it's really important for us to be thinking of it in that way of consciously choosing, that this is what I'm consciously choosing, this is what I'm consciously feeling. And the consciously
Point in time.
at this point in time. And the consciously feeling, it essentially means that you are putting aside the stories of your past, you're putting aside your aspirations and dreams of your future, and you are here. And then in this here moment of now, this is what I am feeling. And it's not, this feeling is not clustered or coming from the past or coming from the future, but really it's
Thank you.
this current event that's happening right now. So that's what mindfulness is. So for someone who might have never really done mindfulness and maybe they're getting this for the first time, how does it look like? How do you do the practice, or is it something that's, how do you do this practically?
Okay. Mindfulness really is, it's something that everybody has. We're all mindful, all of us. But the trick is on the practice. You can know something, right? And be aware of it and choose not to do it. Or, you may not be aware of something that is even within you. Some people are not even aware that they have that, because like I was saying, it's more observing your mind thinking about its emotions, its mind, and its environment. So, and then meditation, it's just a tool that helps our mind to be mindful. And you cannot read about mindfulness and be mindful. And put the book and say, now I'm mindful. I read books or Wodiba. It's a practice. Practice it, they incorporate it in your lifestyle, because it's like we're just saying, can you give yourself awareness of what is going on? And the other thing is, you cannot be mindful 24/7 during the day. But being mindful is catching yourself not being mindful. That is still being mindful. Because you'll be doing something, I'll give an example. Yesterday I was driving to Gaborone from Lobatse, and there was somebody who was doing some ridiculous thing on the road. My breath started changing, and I was like, hey, this guy. Then I'm thinking, I laughed at myself, ha ha ha, I'm not going there. I'm not going to change my energy because of something. They did it. It's past. It's okay. I'm here now. And I caught myself. So I was mindful of what my thoughts were doing to us, to my body, to my emotion. And because now I caught it, I was able to choose to do something about it. I didn't want to feel not so good, so I chose a different thought process.
Yeah, the other day, on the first day of the summit, the day we were supposed to do, the time we were supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I lost Mother for a moment there, but we're back. So I said the other day, the first day of the summit, the moment we were supposed to record, the power just disappeared. And I was with my sister, and she just saw me moving around the room, the house, and just like, oh, just check if it's in our area or it's just our house. And she's like, why are you so calm? Like, why are you not having a panic attack about this? And it was a profound question for me, because I used to be girl, Mrs. Perfectionist. I'm still that, but I always really obsessed about things. So I would have been anxious back in the days before I started using meditation and mindfulness as a practice. And I realized in that moment that the more you continuously do meditation, the more you continuously practice mindfulness, the easier it gets. Such that it's like you're saying, in the moment of something chaotic is happening, you can have this is happening moment, and then you want to react to the knee-jerk way, old ways of shouting and Um, so yes, so that's essentially the most powerful thing about mindfulness. The more you do it, the more it's easy for you to eventually learn how to be anchored all the time. You know, you get your breath in the morning, and then in the afternoon you're still anchored.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's something that you can keep pulling it, like I was saying, because you take your breath everywhere. So when you're feeling like you're a little feeling out of balance, you can just take a few minutes to re-anchor yourself back into that. And how do we that with the self-love that I was talking, because our theme is, healing through self-love, it's acceptance. If you accept where you are at that particular in time, not that is good or that is bad, but the realization that it is what it is right here, right now. So I will then see what to do next. It then helps take out that whole guilt. And mind you, negative emotions are not necessarily bad. They're emotions, they're there. They have a pep. The problem is now when we dwell on them and stay there for that long. They're supposed to communicate something with us. And once we have the communication, get out of them. Find a way that you get out of them with love, kindness, and compassion, and then let them just flow out, having accomplished a purpose that they were there for. So once you accept yourself, I'm accepting the fact that at this point in time, I'm really exhausted. And as much as I cannot, because I'm going to be resentful if I just go ahead and do it. Because when I get there feeling this horrible, and I'll be thinking, and then you, okay.
So we are continuing. We briefly stopped there because I couldn't hear him. So yeah, we are talking about linking the present moment and healing in our topic of the day of
And
being true self-love.
yeah, and I think technology is making us practice the present moment
Mm.
and being okay with it, because this is supposed to be frustrating me, and a conversation is getting cut, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. In I was talking about the link between mindfulness and healing self-love. So saying the present moment, which is part of mindfulness, allow us to self-accept. And when you self-accept, it means you're taking off that heaviness that you had, and that when that heaviness is away, that means your emotions flow easy, your blood circulation flow easy, and then you are able to move from one point to the next without heavy emotions. I
Mm.
don't know if I cut anything, because earlier on I was talking about emotions having a purpose.
Mm. No, yeah, that part we had that
Oh.
part. Um, yeah. No, I mean that's powerful, and it's really important for us to know that healing is not this big extraordinary thing that's happening, and something profound has to happen. It could be really shifting yourself from always obsessing about the future or past, and just learning to be here to experience the now as it is, as it comes. And like you're saying, have this ideology that what is happening around me is just universal messages. I'm being told something here, I'm being reminded of something here. And so the reaction to have is, what am I learning here? How, what can I get from here? How can I use this knowledge, this message to heal myself, to accept myself, to love myself, to expand, to be the version of myself that I desire to be. It's always just that everything happening is just a message to you from the world to your soul. You know, so I love that saying. I have that saying where for me I even ask the dark emotions, what you have to teach me, sacred messenger, because I think that even pain is sacred, it's divine. And if you look at it from that perspective, you would, like you said, you will just release all this heaviness you carry when you think life is me. Oh my God, everything is going wrong. And then it's chaotic energy. And when you're chaotic, you can't think and you even stress yourself even more, you know?
Absolutely. And you put it so eloquently, nicely, better than my words were coming out. And
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a poet. Um, so just going back to our topic of self-love, I've gotten people, and it's a conversation we are always talking about, but people ask, but what do we mean by self-love? How does that even look like? Beyond the concept of love yourself,
okay.
What do we really mean when we say self-love?
Okay. Self-love to me, it's really self-acceptance of all the good and the bad that make up who you are. It's self-care. So self-love incorporate your your physical house, that is your body, your emotional house, that is your emotions and your feelings, and your spiritual or your mental house. And all these have to be some sort of balance. You can never always have a straight line, but there shouldn't be so much gap in between. There is the need of balance and accepting of self. That for me is what self love is in essence, taking care of yourself. The care element is, where you say, okay, fine, I need a moment to, I've been working hard, I need a massage, go to the health spa. That is self care. It's part of self love, but it's not everything. You can go do that to your body, but if your emotions or your mental state is in areas it's really not great, then you are neglecting a part of who you are. It's like, I like saying, when I engage or teach people about self love is, always when you're in a situation, think about what you would say or do to your friend, for your friend that you really love, if they were in the same situation you're at. Because when it's about you, we tend to be so hard on ourselves. That is not loving ourselves. And somebody once said, well, this whole self love thing, it's for people to be doing bad things and not being accountable and say, oh, no, it was self love. I didn't feel like that. No, self love includes accountability, because every action has what? A result. And you should consciously know, if I'm doing this, this is what is likely to happen. And when it happens, I don't know what happened. No, you're part of it.
Mm.
To be mindful and choose from a conscious point of view. Think about yourself. Don't do things that your soul really don't want to do, regardless of the number of other people that you're doing, that they are doing. Think of, like I'm saying, body, soul, and mind. These things, we have to really take care of them and be able, your word is, be able to say, this is the shadow self. But my shadow is part of who I am, and I have to love it. And an analogy is a child who is throwing tantrums, and you start shouting, the tantrums go even beyond, because now the defense mechanism is coming. But if you are firm with love, kindness, compassion, you somehow disarm that, and it just like pauses and says, do I really want this? So in essence, for me, that is what self-love is. But
Mm.
like I like saying, it's a whole lot of a subject that need to be gotten in on depth. And this is actually hint, Miss Joy, that maybe in some of your future summit, if we can then pick a theme within self-love and have all your different network and people that you interact with for us to talk about it. Because in an African perspective, from my own observation, from my socialization, we
Mm.
are never really taught about self-love and the importance of it. And then as we grow up, we assume how people treat us is who we are and how we should even treat ourselves. So I
Mm.
think it's a very important question. And even though I'm saying it's an observation from in my culture, but when you look at African culture, some of the things we lost along the way, or the method that they're using and the language that they're using, you may find that it's different. When you dig deeper, we may find self-love, a component of self-love that was dealt with differently. But when you look at the principle, you feel like, okay, so we actually have this,
Mm.
in
We have it. When I was talking to Bangide, who was our first speaker, one of the things that really, the moment where I made a decision that I'm going to make sure that I'm going to have conversations with, with healers, teachers, coaches, in Africa, and have a space for us to talk about healing, about self-love, about the spiritual selves, about psychology and all these big concepts, but also natural concepts. Because I was in class studying psychology, and a teacher of mine, and she was just really saying what she was observing, which is that we don't have documented an archives of what psychology is, what, as African people, what do we say about our psychology, what do we say about our spirituality and our philosophies of life. And the only thing that she did touch on, that she was able to teach us in a course that was 3 months, but it was taught in one class, was, the oneness aspect, Ubuntu, that is very communal and very transparent in every African community, And the truth is, as you are saying, and as every speaker has been saying, all these things, they exist in our community. They've always existed throughout time. As long as you are a human being, everything that is human, you can access it. It is available for you, and your ancestors have also experienced it. There's nothing new about the human experience. As much as we might be the generation that
absolutely.
technology, it doesn't mean that our ancestors were not able to do this as well. They were communicating differently and they were using different methods, but it's all one thing.
Yes, clairvoyance.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely am for this idea of bringing these conversations and doing this conversation more in depth, and the conversation of self love. Uh, I really believe, as I told you the other day, that healing and this conversation, this summit, the idea of the summit, inner healing and transformation, when you do inner healing and you transform your life, you are going to arrive to self-love. It's the final destination of the process of removing all the layers and discovering all these pains, all these wounds that are within you. But we're not saying you discover them and um, you release them or you reject them or whatever, but you discover them and integrate them. And when you do that integration, that's when you really access self-love, to love all of yourself and to love all of your experiences and the experiences of your ancestors, of your people, and see value in them. And I think, like I say, it's a very profound topic. It's very powerful, and we like, minimizing it because of, hashtag self-love or self-care, but it's a really, really important, like I say. And definitely in my future summit, we will do it as a whole topic of self-love because there's so much to unpack. Hello?
Em,
Okay, you're back.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Em.
yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I believe in the divine, a higher power. So as we are talking, and before you shared what you're talking about right now, we're talking about maybe in African context because it's not documented, it might be there. And then you talked about your psychology lecture talking about Ubuntu, which is the name actually of our company. And I'm thinking, you cannot, wow, the connection. You cannot, I get both to loosely translated as I am because you are.
Yeah. We're back.
Okay. I was saying that, there is the link of self-love, Boto, Ubuntu, in Boto and Ubuntu, same thing, I guess. So in connected to self-love and compassion because I am because you are. So if I have self-love, that means I may have compassion for other people. I cannot truly love other people if I don't love myself. I cannot truly be compassionate to other people if when I need compassion, I cannot give it to myself. Hence the importance of self-love because we need to deal with sense of kindness, self-kindness, compassion, care, and all these things are going to, expose your humanness and for you to then carry them with kindness, compassion, so that then you are able to give them to other people.
Really, there's nothing more profound than that. It is a powerful belief philosophy that we have. Ubuntu.
They are jealous, but
Yeah.
we are about to continue anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, because of the spirits telling us you need to wrap up, we're gonna wrap up soon. But before we close, I just wanted to know how people can access you and can start doing mindful work with you and your services really as Afro. Hello. Yes. Yeah, I was asking about your offerings, the services that people can access if they want to start being more mindful in their lives.
Okay. We have a number of offerings. We do things retreats every quarter. We offer therapy and any other mindfulness programs. We also have programs for the corporate. And if you really want to get hold of us, I have a partner. I'm talking, you're wondering, us, but you're talking alone. Um, I am because of my partner. Her name is Dr. Didi, and I'm hoping, very brilliant. I'm hoping Joy will be able to invite her in one of her summits. I'm putting you on the spot,
I
Joy.
will.
She is amazing because even as a doctor in psychology, she does it differently. She doesn't believe in over the table couch kind of uh, talk therapy. She does gardening therapy, walking therapy, and stuff like that. So we have both work for individuals and corporates. And you can get hold of us in our Facebook page if you want to get hold of Mother K. The Facebook page is Afroboto, or my personal one. You can inbox me. I have absolutely no problem with that. Yeah. So thank you very much, Masire.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me and talking about this important conversation. I am definitely going to look into doing, a broader breakdown of self-love in my future summits and activities. And thank you so much for being here in the sacred space and sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you very, very much. And to everybody, I would say it all begins with self, and it all begins with thought. Let me just ask a question to go think about. You don't have to answer it as the viewers. What do you think about yourself? What do you feel about yourself? I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Namaste, love and light. Thank you so much for joining us, Mother K, for all the speakers. Thank you so much for for being here, for serving us with this powerful, profound teachings and philosophies. I think that anyone who has watched all or any of the videos here, they've really benefited and really gotten really transformative information. And thank you guys. We will do this again and again because I am hashtag decolonizing Africa, decolonizing healing, and decolonizing ourselves because we deserve it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy, and salute to you for the platform.
Thank you. Okay, bye everyone.